Look around you for a moment. The walls around you, the screen in front of you, your own hands. Everything feels solid, stable, undeniably real. You don't question it. You never have, because reality doesn't feel like something that needs to be questioned. But neither did reality inside every video game ever created. To the character inside the game, the world feels complete. The ground holds weight. The sky stretches endlessly. Nothing feels artificial from the inside. And that is the uncomfortable thought. A world does not need to be real to feel real. It only needs to be convincing. So before we go any further, ask yourself one simple question. Not philosophically. Honestly, how would you know if this wasn't base reality? For most of history, questioning reality sounded insane. Something for mystics, poets, or madmen. Then something strange happened. In 2016, Elon Musk casually stated that the odds we are living in base reality are 1 in billions. The shocking part was not what he said. It was who agreed with him. Philosophers at Oxford, physicists at MIT, computer scientists who build simulations for a living. This was no longer science fiction. It became a statistical argument. If intelligent civilizations tend to create simulated worlds, then statistically, simulated realities would vastly outnumber the original one, meaning it is far more likely to be inside a simulation than to be in the first reality that created it. This didn't prove anything, but it changed the question from, is this crazy? To what if this is normal? At first glance, the universe looks natural, messy, organic, chaotic. But the deeper science looked, the stranger it became. Reality did not behave like an accident. It behaved like a system. Precise laws, exact constants, mathematical harmony so delicate that a small change would erase everything. Physicists call this fine-tuning. A universe balanced on a razor's edge. Not too strong, not too weak, not too fast, not too slow. And instead of randomness, they found structure. Instead of chaos, rules. That alone doesn't imply design, but it does raise suspicion, because systems with rules tend to have reasons. For centuries, scientists believed space was smooth, that you could zoom in forever. Atoms, particles, smaller particles, until quantum physics hit a wall, a smallest possible unit of length, the Planck length. Below it, space itself stops making sense. Not blurry, not hidden, non-existent. This is not a technological limit. It is reality's limit. Just like a digital image cannot be infinitely detailed. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. Why would a naturally occurring universe have a resolution limit? Why would reality behave like it is rendered? Randomness does not need pixels, but simulations do. Then there is the speed of light. Nothing in the universe can exceed it. Not energy, not information, not gravity. Physics cannot explain why this limit exists, only that it does. But in computing, limits are essential. They prevent overload. They preserve stability. Some physicists quietly suggest the speed of light behaves like a bandwidth cap, the maximum rate at which information can propagate. If information moved infinitely fast, the system would collapse into contradiction. So the universe enforces a rule, and rules are not random. They are written. Then came the experiment that shattered materialism, the double-slit experiment. Particles behaved like waves, everywhere at once, undefined, until they were observed. The moment observation occurred, reality chose a state. Not when measured, not when touched, when known. This created a problem no one expected. Matter was supposed to be fundamental. Consciousness was supposed to be secondary. But here, matter waited for awareness. Reality responded to observation, which raised a disturbing possibility. What if consciousness is not produced by the universe? What if the universe responds to consciousness? In modern video games, the entire world is not rendered at once. That would waste resources. Only what the player sees exists in full detail. The rest is potential, stored, waiting. This is optimization. Physics began describing reality in the same language. Probability fields, collapsed states, unobserved possibilities. The universe behaves less like a static object and more like a responsive system, not fully existing, until interacted with. That is not how matter should behave, but it is exactly how simulations behave. At this point, nothing is proven, but certainty begins to crack. Reality feels less solid when examined closely, less fundamental, less self-existent. The universe no longer looks like a brute fact. It looks contingent, dependent on rules, dependent on conditions, dependent on something deeper. Science does not say this out loud, but the discomfort is there. The feeling that we are not standing on bedrock, but on structure. As physics dug deeper, matter kept dissolving. Atoms became particles. Particles became fields. Fields became equations, until physicists began saying something radical. At the bottom of reality, there is no matter. There is information. Yes or no states. On or off. Binary distinctions. John Wheeler called it from bit. Reality arising from information. And information is not physical. It is abstract, meaningful, encoded, which raises a question science cannot answer. Who encoded it? At this stage, many people pull back, not because the ideas are weak, but because they are unsettling. If reality is structured, if it behaves like code, if it responds to awareness, then reality is not self-sufficient. And that threatens something deeper than science. It threatens our assumptions. Because once you admit reality might not be ultimate, you are forced to ask the question humans avoid most. If this is not base reality, then what is? Physics can describe particles. It can describe forces. It can even describe the birth of the universe. But there is one thing it cannot explain: consciousness. No equation explains why you are experiencing this moment from inside your own mind. Why there is a you behind your eyes. Neurons firing does not create awareness. Chemistry does not create self-reflection. Atheism suggests consciousness is a side effect of matter, an accident of evolution. But accidents don't ask questions. Accidents don't search for meaning. Accidents don't feel guilt or regret. Yet you do. Consciousness is not noise. It is signal. It is the primary reason the universe feels real. If the universe is structured, are your choices real? Physics leans toward determinism. Every event is the effect of a prior one. Yet your inner experience tells a different story. You feel choice, responsibility, accountability, regret. Atheism struggles here. Without God, morality risks becoming arbitrary. Free will becomes an illusion. Guilt becomes meaningless. Justice becomes theater. Religion, on the other hand, treats choices real because accountability is real. Not punishment-driven, but awareness-driven. Humans operate on this reality every day. We live as if choice matters, because deep down, we know it does. Why does suffering exist? Atheism says suffering is meaningless. Random. Chemical reactions. Evolutionary pressure. Religion suggests suffering has a purpose. It refines consciousness, reveals truth, tests intention. In simulations, difficulty is not a bug. It is a feature. It forces awareness. It wakes the player. Comfort alone keeps us asleep. Pain awakens reflection. Discomfort teaches observation. This does not romanticize suffering. It explains why it might exist in a meaningful world. Atheism argues morality emerges from evolution. Survival, social cohesion, utility. But evolution explains survival, not sacrifice. Why die for strangers? Why protect the weak? Why feel guilt when unseen? Survival does not require conscience. Yet humans demonstrate it anyway. Religion says morality is embedded, written into consciousness, not enforced externally, but inherently. A law not requiring force. A conscience that enforces itself. Remove God entirely. What remains? Atoms. Time. Entropy. Heat death. Love becomes chemistry. Purpose becomes illusion. Hope becomes denial. Yet humans cannot escape this yearning. We borrow meaning instinctively from religions and myths we claim not to believe. Something inside insists reality matters, even when atheism says it does not. If reality behaves like a simulation, then the laws, the constants, the fine-tuning are the code. The universe is procedural, optimized, structured, like a well-coded game. Everything fits together with purpose, and purpose suggests an author, not an accident, not chaos, but intent. Atheists may rename the architect, alien civilization, future humans, unknown superintelligence, but the logic remains. Design implies a designer. The universe may respond to consciousness. Matter may wait for awareness. If so, what is the role of the soul, the inner self, the observer? Atheism struggles to answer this. Information cannot experience itself. Binary code cannot be aware of its own patterns. Yet we are aware. We reflect. We question. Meaning exists because someone or something watches, interacts, and experiences it. Without a foundation beyond physical reality, meaning collapses. Ethics becomes preference. Beauty becomes chemical reaction. Love becomes biology. People can live like this. Many do. But notice the tension. We live as if reality has value. We seek purpose even when denied. We cannot fully ignore it. Something inside humans insists the universe is more than matter. Religion has always addressed this tension. Not by threat, not by coercion, but by recognition. The body is temporary. The soul is eternal. The world is a test. Awareness matters. This insight predates simulations, code, and quantum mechanics. It existed in Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism. Different languages, same intuition. Religion speaks to the human experience of consciousness, responsibility, and meaning, not as a rule book, but as recognition. Atheists often embrace simulation theory. It allows design without God. Alien programmers replace divinity. Base reality replaces heaven. Yet the paradox remains. A designed universe still requires a designer. Call it God, architect, or programmer. The logic does not disappear. Consciousness, meaning, and structure all point beyond randomness. Even if atheism is correct, humans continue to hope. We seek beauty. We seek connection. We seek purpose. Evolution alone cannot explain this drive. It cannot explain the moral, aesthetic, and emotional sophistication humans possess. Even in a simulated world, these traits point to something beyond matter. Perhaps reality is crafted to allow us to awaken, to recognize our own agency, to confront existence consciously. At this point, the crisis is clear. Consciousness is primary. Free will is real. Suffering has significance. Morality persists beyond evolution. Meaning cannot be fully grounded in matter alone. If this universe behaves like code, then where do we fit in? Are we simply data points in a vast simulation? Or is there something more? Consciousness is not an accident. It is the observer, the participant, the player. The soul may not be physical. It may not be measurable, yet it experiences, decides, suffers, loves. If reality is a program, the soul is the mind behind the input. It is what gives meaning to the rules. Without it, the universe would be silent, empty, unobserved. If we are players in a greater system, then death is not deletion. It is a logout. The body ceases to function. The avatar disappears, but the player remains. Religion has long described this. The body is temporary. The soul is eternal. Death is no longer terrifying. It is the end of observation in this layer, and the beginning of a new reality. The fear dissolves when you see existence as layered, not final. Ancient wisdom recognized what modern physics is discovering. Hinduism called this world Maya, an illusion. Islam calls it dunya, a temporary test. Christianity teaches this life is a shadow of the eternal. Different words, same truth. The physical world is not base reality. The body is the avatar. The soul is the player. Experience matters because consciousness exists. Science and religion are speaking in different languages about the same phenomenon. Consider this. If reality arises from information, then the word spoken at creation may be literal. Every law, every constant, every particle may be structured like code. Consciousness experiences it, and the soul gives it context. The creator is not a distant programmer. He is the mind in which existence is conceived. Love, beauty, curiosity, these are the fingerprints of the designer. Simulation theory becomes not atheistic, but a poetic way to describe divine structure. The universe may feel vast and indifferent, but design implies care. A game with infinite worlds is meaningless without a player to explore it, and that player is not random. You, the conscious observer, matter. The code responds to observation, but meaning emerges from awareness. Your life is not lines in a file. It is thought in the mind of God. The architect is not distant. He is the source of awareness itself. No alien computer could create human emotion. No algorithm could generate curiosity, wonder, guilt, or joy. These are not side effects. They are intentional. The universe is not cold. It is reflective. It is capable of beauty. Science may describe the mechanics. Religion may describe the purpose. Both point toward intentionality. Meaning exists because consciousness exists. Consciousness exists because the soul is real. Quantum physics and mysticism converge. The holographic principle, observer effect, and structured mathematics align with ancient insight. We are part of a unified design, not just particles or data, but aware participants in an intentional system. Science provides method. Religion provides interpretation. Together, they describe the same architecture. Take a moment to reflect. Who are you in this vast universe? You are more than flesh. You are more than neurons firing. You are the consciousness observing. You are the player interacting with creation. You are the thought in the mind of the infinite. The weight of existence becomes lighter when you see yourself as part of something greater. Not fear, not despair, but responsibility and awareness. One day, perhaps, this layer will end. The screen may fade to black. The simulation may pause. But the observer does not end. The mind, the soul, the awareness persists. Death is a logout. The true reality begins beyond the screen. All of this was never about punishment or reward. It was about awakening. Reality is mathematical. It is structured. It is responsive. But it is not cold. It is conscious, aware, and interactive. The spiritual insight emerges naturally. You are alive. You are seen. You matter. And your choices are real. The fear of meaninglessness dissolves in recognition. Consciousness is not alone. Every act, every thought, every reflection counts. Because the universe is not random. Even if we do not see the full design, our awareness shapes it. Life is not a simulation to be escaped. It is a stage to be fully present on. Every observation, every moral choice, every act of love adds depth to reality. If this universe is a program, then the programmer is not absent. He is not alien. He is not abstract. The designer is the source of consciousness, the mind in which existence is conceived, the origin of love, beauty, and curiosity. Simulation theory becomes a metaphor for divine intentionality. Code and soul converge. Observer and creator meet. So, are we living in a simulation? Yes and no. Yes, the universe is structured, coded, responsive. No, it is not cold, purposeless, or meaningless. This simulation is creation. The code is the word of God. The player is the soul experiencing it. One day, this layer will end. The screen will go dark, and we will awaken. Think beyond. Observe consciously. Live deliberately. The end is not death. It is awakening.